Okay, we're checking our warm-up in our Star Master book. Today's Friday, October 30th. So those of you at home, if you are getting ready to watch this video, make sure you do these problems first and then come back and check your answers with the video, just like we normally do. So we were just saying in class that these are word problems, and you will see some word problems on your power quiz today. So make sure you're paying attention and really focusing on what I'm trying to go over with you, because it might be on your power quiz. Okay, number 1. There are 5 malls near Mr. Wolford's home. The table below shows how many stores are in each mall. How many more stores are in City Center Mall than in Edmonds Mall? Okay, did y'all hear a keyword in there?
How many?
How many more? So when you see how many more, what does that mean?
It means you
Subtract. Okay, so we need to find City Center Mall and Edmonds Mall. Here's City Center, here's Edmonds, and then we subtract 104 minus 58. Make sure you line your digits up. The bigger number goes on top. Okay, so we start here in the ones place. 4 minus 8, can we do that? No, so we need to borrow. Can I borrow from a 0? No. So there's 2 ways you could have done this. You could have gone and borrowed from the 1.
Or you could box it.
Or box it, yes. So this is a 10. I borrow from a 10, it becomes a 9. And make sure you put that 9 right over the 10's place. Now this 4 becomes 14. 14 minus 8 is 6. 9 minus 5? 4. 46 D. Now how could I check my answer? Evangeline? Adding the 2 bottom numbers to make sure they come out to the top number. Okay, so we are right.
Here's what you would have gotten if you added, because I put a minus on the accidentally added.
Yep. Okay, number 2. The Morris family went to the beach. They collected 425 shells in all. Zach collected 160 shells and Emily collected 128 shells. How many shells did the rest of the family collect? Okay, do we know how many shells they collected in all, the whole family?
No.
Yes, we do. This sentence right here says, they collected 425 shells in all. So is that your total amount?
Yes.
Yes. So I'm going to make a whole part. 425 goes in the total. And I have 3 parts. Zach, which collected 160. $128 for Emily. And then we have the rest of the family. We don't know how much they collected. So how are we going to figure that missing number out? Who remembers? Kelsey?
You're going to subtract.
Subtract. Okay, what am I going to subtract though? Because I have 3 numbers.
425.
Okay, we can do that. She said we can subtract 425 minus 160. Subtract both parts from the whole. Okay, so I could subtract twice, subtracting each of these, or I can combine these first. So which one do we want to do? Combine these first or subtract twice? Okay, so we're going to combine 160 and 128 by adding. That's 288. Good. So now we're going to subtract this amount from 425 to see how much is left over that the rest of the family collected. Okay? So we start in the ones place. 5 minus 8. Can we do that?
Yes.
No. This is where we start to mess up because you guys, when you're doing this on your own, you would say 5 minus 8 is 3. Is that true?
No.
No. Okay, so just remind yourself, slow it down. If it's bigger on the bottom, you have to borrow. Okay, so we go next door. The 2 becomes 1. 5 becomes 15. 15 minus 8 is 7. Okay, now I go to the 10s. Can I do 1 minus 8? No. So I need to go next door, right, and borrow. So what does the 4 become? 4 becomes 3. 1 becomes 11. 11 minus 8? 3. 3 minus 2? 1. So our missing piece is 137. Okay. Now how can I check my answer? If I have all 3 of these parts, all 3 of these tiny parts should equal what? Bryson?
It should equal 137.
If I take all of these parts, they should equal the whole, right?
Yes.
All the parts add up to the whole. Okay, so if I were to check my answer, I can add all the parts and they should equal 425.
Add or subtract?
To check, we're just talking about to check your answer. You would add the parts to make sure they equal
But yeah, I know
the total.
If it's regular subtracting and you box it at the top and try to get the top, the real number, or you box it at the bottom and try to get the top number. But if it's subtract, you add, and if it's
Yes, you're right. If it's subtract, you add. If it's add, you subtract. Number 3, Annie collected 87 leaves, Sarah collected 43 leaves, and Libby collected 196 leaves. How many more leaves did Libby collect than Annie and Sarah combined? Was this a multi-step problem?
yes.
Yes.
Combine means to add.
Good. So I need to combine Annie and Sarah by adding. And then it said how many more, so that means I now need to what? Subtract.
I thought how many more is add.
How many more means to subtract? Everybody say that with me. How many more means to subtract?
You can look up there and there it is.
How many more means to what?
Subtract.
Subtract. Okay. Now we're going to subtract Libby from Annie and Sarah combined. So first let's combine Annie and Sarah. Who can tell me what Annie collected? Kelsey?
Annie collected 87 leaves.
87. Okay. Sarah?
43.
43. So I'm combining them.
I thought you were subtracting.
Okay. So 130 is how much Annie and Sarah collected. Libby collected 196. So what do we need to do with this number?
Subtracted.
Subtract it. 196 minus 130. Did I have to put 196 on top?
Yes.
Yes. When you subtract, the bigger number always goes on top. Did I have to put 87 on top when I added?
Yes.
No, the order does not matter when you add. But when you subtract, you better put that bigger number on top.
That's why I made that one wrong.
That's why we have those rules for borrowing, right? The bigger number goes on top. 6 minus 0 is 6. 9 minus 3 is 6. Okay, so A was your correct answer. How many of you got that one right? Good.
Wait, which one?
So remember those key words. How many more means to what?
Subtract.
And combine means to
Add.
add. Okay, last one. Mrs. Miller's class sold 125 boxes of cookies. Mr. Toller's class sold 128 boxes. Mrs. Burns' class sold 5 more boxes than Mrs. Miller's class. How many boxes did the 3 classes sell in all? Okay? So we have 3 classes. So I'm going to just write down each class. I have Miller. Do we know how much Mrs. Miller's class sold?
Yes, 125 boxes.
Okay, so I'm going to just put an M for Miller, and they're 125. The next teacher was Mr. Toller. So I'm going to put a T for Toller. Do we know how much they sold?
Yes.
Good, 128. And the last class was Mrs. Burns. Do we know how much Miss Burns' class sold?
No.
No, it just says 5 more boxes than Mrs. Miller's class. So how am I going to find 5 more boxes than Mrs. Miller's class? Count up 5. So here's Miller. I need to take that and add 5 more. So what would I get?
You would get
Kelsey?
13.
No, what's 125 plus 5 more?
30.
130. Good. Okay. Now we know how much each class sold. Then it asked us how many boxes in all. So what's my last step?
You have to add those.
Add all these up. 5 plus 8? Ooh, come on, y'all. Get your facts. Quicker. 5 plus 8 is? 5 plus 8.
12.
13. I just wanted y'all to do it quicker. Okay. 1 plus 2?
5.
3 plus 2?
It's 8. The whole thing
No,
is
y'all
8.
need to stay with me because you're confusing. 1 plus 2? 3. 3 plus 2? 5 plus 3?
8.
8. There you go. 1 plus 1 plus 1? 3. Okay, now when we go to put these in the boxes, we only have 3 boxes. So we just put each number in order. Nothing confusing about that, right? They just go right there in those boxes.
3, 8.
Bubble in 3 underneath the 3, 8, and 3. Okay? Now another key word I wanted to go over real quick because you will see this on your power quiz is difference. What does it mean in math when a question or a word problem says, what is the difference between, let's just use this chart right here. If it had asked us, what is the difference between the number of stores at City Center Mall and Edmonds Mall? What would you do? Aaliyah? Subtract. Okay. Do you think there's a reason I'm taking the time to go over that word right now? Why am I going over that right now?
Because we're going to take a power quiz and you might see it on the power
Exactly. You're going to see it on your power quiz. Difference means to subtract, okay? It's a multi-meaning word, right? In math it means subtract, but you may go and do a reading lesson and they say, what's the difference between a panda and a dog? Well, you're going to start describing what is different, right? Okay, so that means 2 different things. Okay, but in math, always means to subtract. Okay? All right, put your Star Master books away.